Is feminism something that has devolved into a hate group which is damaging and a detriment to society, which is basically just a polite way to say misandry? Or is it something that is a valid and needed organization which women can use to help work for true equality in our country? Which is it? Now, in order to really objectively answer the question, we can't just go on knee-jerk reactions. Because remember, hate groups and hate-filled individuals don't realize that they're hate-filled, typically. They will always have justifications. So we need to go based on criteria. We need to be objective based on criteria, and we need to maybe have some examples we can compare it to. The examples don't necessarily need to be the same level, but they need to be shown to work in similar ways. So remember, first thing is, in hate groups, you have people that will use justification to continue their hate. Now, can we see that in feminism? Well, we've been a victim, I've been a victim, I've been a victim. Well, every hate group has been a victim. Every hate group is going against some sort of perceived injustices. And so, yes, that's one of the criteria is you're using justifications to justify why you don't like a certain group. And this brings up another thing, patsies. You're going against a certain group, an entire group, a group that is as a class of people that cannot do anything about it. Now, is feminism using patsies? Are they dehumanizing people by labeling them as a part of a group and then attacking the whole group? Yes, they're doing it to men. And to compare and contrast this, let's make sure that we're fair about it, is what about an actual hate group? Let's say the Triple K organization. You remember the group with 3 letters in its name, all the letters are K, with the funny white hats. That organization was made after the American Civil War ended, at a time when a lot of the Southerners still wanted to keep slavery. It's obviously wrong, obviously hate-filled, obviously something that almost everybody in society has moved past, and we need to work on not having things like that in our society. But does that organization have patsies? Do they label a whole group based not on individuals, but based upon a criteria that can't be changed? Are they dehumanizing people through categorization? Yes. Their group that they hate and they're working against would be blacks or African Americans. They're labeling all people of a certain color under a certain category and attacking or belittling or dehumanizing everybody in that category for being a part of it, something that they can't control. This is what it means to be a hate group. One of the criteria. Now, another one's violence, but let's get this one first. Now, what about the criteria for men? Men, of course, cannot control that we're men. We're born that way. We cannot control that our chromosomes are XY. We cannot control that our brains were designed by nature to work in certain ways. Now, we can and are very wonderful people for the most part. But when you have feminism as an organization saying things like, how many times have you heard this? There are no such thing as good men, because if there were good men, they would do something about bad men, and then none of us would be in danger. So you can see there are no such thing as good men. How many times have you heard that in feminism? Well, what if you said that about the other group, about a race? There are no such, insert race here, there are no such good people in this race, because if there were good people in this race, then those good people of that race would do something about the bad people of that race, then none of us would be in danger from them, would we? Now, how obviously racist would that be? So, if you can see that you can change the words of what you're saying, keep the rest of the sentence, but instead of men, put Hispanics, blacks, Asians, Pacific Islanders, whatever. If the same sentence turns you into a racist by saying it like that, then it's bad for men too. It is misandry. It is man hate. Because guess what? Men are not responsible, all of us, for what a couple guys did there any more than all black people would be responsible for what a couple of black people did, or all Hispanic people would be responsible for what a couple of Hispanic people would do. Yes, that's hate. Now, what about not all men? How many times have you heard the not all men? Meaning, yeah, it's all men. Okay, again, let's change the term men and change that. What if we said, oh, not all women? What if we were going to say, well, not all women do this, not all women do that? That would be a problem. Now, what about not all Hispanics, or not all black people, not all Asians, not all Pacific Islanders, or not all people from India, you know? If you're obviously racist when you say it and when you change it to a race, then you are also at the same time a misandrist if you're using it against guys. And let's take the name. Oh, well, you instead of, why don't you just, they're just crying about it. Why do you not cry about it? Like, that's just insulting people at that point. You're coming up with things that are unfair, that are absolutely filled with misandry, absolutely categorizing all individuals as, you know, as the problem, and then you double and triple and quadruple down by just being better at insulting. Now, let's then take another look at this. Is feminism more and more and more being filled with predators, with narcissists, psychopaths, with types that are very predatory? Are they able, as a group, to take criticism, to be fair, and to have empathy? Because remember, hate is sort of the opposite of empathy. A hate-filled person is going to just be throwing out insults. A person with empathy is going to relate to others and see things from their point of view. When you see trend after trend after trend after trend going on TikTok saying, this is what's wrong with guys, this is what's wrong with guys, that's what's wrong with guys, there's no empathy in that. There's no objectivity in that. There's no saying, okay, well, here's a problem, let's objectively find ways to solve it. This is just simply throwing out hate. And so the answer to the question is absolutely yes. Feminism is now damaging and toxic. It is now a hate group. It is not fair. It is not objective. It is not working towards equality. Working towards equality would be needing to be done in an objective way where you state a valid point that you're trying to work towards and valid steps you're taking to work towards that goal. And you're doing it with people of all genders and all races together. Yes, it is misandry at this point. And what's more, you're working towards goals of getting equality in high positions of business and income and making sure you have all the same money when you're ignoring society health. The goal needs to be, let's make the society less toxic. Let's make it a place where people are invited to want to become great people. The people are supported in kind and loving environments, which were treated all equally. That's not the same thing as what's happening now. If you are a member of the feminism movement, you are a member of a hate group. And that's just how it is.